the easiest answer here would be that's how my audience has loved me and accepted me over the years. So they have in fact helped me to break this ageism barrier, and I will promise to my audience that I will work till I'm 80 for sure. I'm not hanging up my boots. Because for an actor, I don't think an actor should be judged by an actor's age. You know, I think it's only because our cinema is known as popular cinema, and you want to see young people on screen all the time because that's what compels the youth to kind of go and watch. The trick is also to kind of not be in a delusional warped land of your own and believe that you're always going to be young. You can be young at heart, but to accept your age and to accept roles that suit your age is also important for the audience to accept you in those kind of characters. So it has always been a conscious decision of mine to be able to give my audience something that will be palpable for them as well. Like if I had to play a college student today, I could play a college student, but I have to also show them that I'm a mother and I'm at an age of 40, and I've probably decided to go back to college at this age because there's so many people who kind of go back to college and study, say, media, or they study other things much later. So you have to give them a logical reason as to why you're playing that particular part and what is your age in that part.
Right.
Also, when I played Hitchki, I also played a 60-year-old, you know, in the last scene. You know, 60, 65-year-old. So these are all challenges that an actor takes up to look older. But similarly, when an actor takes a challenge to look younger, it's always ridiculed upon. Because you don't want the same actor to try and tell the audience that I'm young. So it's also important to accept who you are, what you are, how you're aging, and also you have to look after yourself and look good for the audience. So my entire life's focus is to look like how I used to look 20 years ago, and keep looking like this all my life, and you know, have a good lifestyle, have a healthy lifestyle, and maintain that. Because when an audience pays money to come and see your work, they also want to see a nice looking face, you know. They don't want to see a face that's completely tired and, you know. So yeah, so hence I also take intervals and do my work, because the audience has kept me going for last 27 years, and I'm hoping that the same audience keeps me going for the next 27.
Yeah. Rani, one of the special things about your career is the way you've chosen roles, or maybe the roles came that way. I don't know how to put that. Yeah. But there are obviously some roles that are quote-unquote young, like Bunty or Bubbly, for instance, you know, because that's a young like person with dreams and things like that, Bas Itna Sa Khwaab Hai, those kinds of films. But there are many roles, even when, like you said 20 years ago, that where you could have been in indeterminate age, where your age was not as important as the character. I'm talking about Black. That character could have been 20 years older and you would have still had the same journey. Savaria. You could have been an older version of the person that you played, of the sex worker, of Gula. You could have, if you were talking about Yuva, again, you could have been an older version of the thing. Is there also something that helped audiences along with this, and this transition was a little easier to, you know, now when you do a Mardani, it's not a surprise anymore because Rani has always been somebody who's transcended age. Is that maybe something of it?
Yeah, and I think my height helps it. Because I'm not too tall. So I kind of fit into, like, maybe I can fit into this chair also if I had to fold my legs and sit. So I think my height also helps that. Also because I think Bengalis have a certain genes. After eating fish and rice. No, to be like serious on this, I think on my third film itself, Kuch Kuch Hota, I played a mom. And I continued playing mother roles even when I was in my 20s. Which is with Tararampam. I played a mother of 2 children. So I think continuously, I think I've tried to not give importance to the age factor of the character, and I've tried to give justice to the role that I've played, so that when an audience is watching me on screen, they don't think of Rani Mukerji as in who I am, but they actually see my character and they believe that I'm that character.
Right.
So if I'm playing Shashi from Yuva, they believe that I am Shashi and not Rani Mukerji. And I work hard towards making those characters different in terms of how they look, how they talk, how they walk. Because I do believe body language also makes a lot of difference in terms of how you perceive a particular person, because we all are so diverse, in our own ways. We are Indian, but we still are very diverse. No two people will be alike. So I think it's important to also be different in your roles in terms of how you look. And I always believe that 50% of your battle as an actor to make people believe who you are is your appearance.
Right.
So if you look the character, then half the battle is won with your part. And then the other half is how you perform.
Right.
So I think that makes a character very compelling for me in terms of an audience to believe. So I can also be a Tina. At the same time, I can be Alisha from Gulam. I can also be, say, Riya Kapoor from Hum Tum. And I can also be like Michelle McNally from Black.
Yeah.
So you see there are different looks with all. And of course, with Dil Bole Haripa, where I play a boy.
Yeah. Was there any role that came to you and I'm thinking of Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna, which is one of my favorite performances of yours. And I think what is a rather underrated film, because for its time, that kind of role where you are in an adulterous relationship, not because your husband is beating you, but because just you're incompatible.
Yeah, my choice.
It's just a different kind of a thing. So, has there been any film like that where you got the thing and you said, okay, this is a great role, but I'm not sure I want to do this, and I don't know if the audience it'll go well with the audience.
So actually, like the confidence that I get towards a particular character also comes within me spontaneously. Like I do remember when I was narrated Hum Tum, like Adi and Kunal, who were my producer and director at that point of time, they were convinced that I would say no to the script. That's also because of the last scene, because it was one of a kind where a woman takes the call with the man and says, it's fine that I've, had I've made love with you, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to marry you because of that. We need to marry for the right reasons. And I think that was very path-breaking at that point of time, because those kind of scenes or those kind of roles for women were not being made, where the woman takes charge and says that it's fine, it's not a big deal, but we need to marry for the right reason. And for some reason, they really thought that I wouldn't get it. But when I did accept the role and I said, I love Hum Tum and I love the way the character turns out, they were also pretty shocked with my decision. Because maybe I gave the impression that I'm very conservative, or I come from a family where I might not be able to accept something like that. But I think it was because I'm today's woman, and I've always tried to portray strong Indian women characters, because I think abroad when people see our films, it is a window towards what India is through our characters.
Yeah.
And they get to know how India is at that point of time. And for me, it's a responsibility when people see our films abroad, that how are they viewing Indian women, through our characters. So I always want to portray Indian women as the best and strong and powerful. And that's what I've done with my roles, very, very consciously. Even with Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna, I think it was very important to talk about a woman's want and a woman's choice, because just because the husband doesn't beat you does not mean that the husband is really good with you in bed, or you are in love with him. And I think people give less importance to when it comes to a woman being in love. That is just not important. What is important during marriage for a lot of people and their families mostly is if the man is settled, if he comes from a good family. But the physical aspect or the physical chemistry is not given too much into account. It's like a man can choose that, but that's okay.
Oh God, this is something
that's
that's
fine. So a woman is never allowed or is never asked a question that, are you attracted to this man? Would you like to marry him? And in the case of Maya's character, I think what was beautiful was she loved Rishi's character, which is played by Abhishek, she loved him as well, but she loved him in a different capacity, as a friend. But what she found in Shah Rukh's character, Dev, was the romance that she was always pining for.
Right.
And I think that was wonderful. And with Karan, in fact, he was bold enough to make a film like that at the time when he wasn't sure what was happening. But I think it's important to always stand by strong films and strong roles. Sometimes you might not get the kind of audience that it has, but I think in the history of Indian cinema, it would always be remembered as a film that was always ahead of its times. And I think what happened with Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna is, after the film, there were a lot of divorces. And it was a lot of people going to the theatre, watching the film in extreme discomfort, because nobody wants to face the reality of their own lives. And I think that is the feedback that Karan got after the film. And I think it opened eyes for a lot of people, and people took a decision of being happy. And very different from what we are taught in our culture, that we have to compromise, we have to adjust. And of course we have to. But we can also adjust when there is love in a relationship. When you don't have love, then it's very difficult to adjust. So it's very important to be able to respect your partner, to be able to love your partner, and to have that companionship. Then compromising and adjusting is easy.
Right.
Because even in a relationship of love, there will be compromise, there will be adjustment. So in a marriage, it is very, I would say, demanding. And if you are in a marriage which is a loveless marriage, then it gets even more difficult.
Right. So Rani, when you speak, the word performance drops a lot. The point is, at what point did you start noticing performances? Because when we're younger, when you watch movies, most of the time we watch it like a story. At what point did you look at something? Maybe it was on TV, or maybe it was on a big screen or something. At what point did you say, oh my God, I really like what this particular person is doing?
When I saw Leader, which was directed by my father.
Vaijayantimala's performance?
Yes.
Okay.
No, Dilip Kumar and Vaijayantimala.
Okay.
And when I saw Dilip Kumar's performance in the film, and you always think of Dilip Kumar as, the king of
tragedy.
Tragic, and the king of drama, and he's known to do films like that. And when I saw Leader and I saw his performance, I was blown. His charm, the way he did the comic scenes, it just blew my mind. And I remember watching it as a kid, and obviously I was taken in by the grandeur of the film and the bigness of the film, and of course Vaijayantimala's dances and all of those lovely romantic scenes and this beautiful song which was shot in front of the Taj Mahal. But when my dad passed, and on each of his birthday, I make it a point to see his film, with my entire family. And when I saw Leader recently, I was just blown. I was like, oh my God, that's why Dilip Kumar is Dilip Kumar. Because the idea of being an actor, I think for a lot of actors comes from him. So, yeah, Dilip Kumar, hands down.
So when you say a good actor, do you mean that they should be able to do the range that is...
Yeah, for me, versatility is very important, because I do believe that if an actor is able to be versatile, that shows the different facets of different people, because at the end of the day, as actors, we are portraying different people in cinema. Every story is about characters. So we are characters in the film. And the more diverse you can make those characters, it's more interesting also for the audience as well as for me. Like, I would be bored if I had to play something like who I am in all my films. But the energy I get is through the characters that I'm playing. Like, they inspire me. Like Shivani Shivaji Roy's character inspires me, inspires Rani Mukerji the person. So for me to play Shivani is already very inspiring, and I'm trying to be who I never got a chance to be in my personal life. Like, I can't be a cop, right? But it gives me immense pleasure to play her. And to be able to play Shivani in a way that is very real, taking instances from real life police officers. That is my kick as an actor, to be able to perform different characters and give them different images. You know, that is something that I really, really get inspired from personally.
Do you remember your first day of shooting? Did it go well?
First day of shooting? I do actually remember it very, very clearly. So it was the Muhurat shot for my film Raje Ki Aagi Barat. And so it was actually, we were on a platform, not like this, it was a much lower platform, and it was a Muhurat being performed. Because in those days, there used to be a lot of Muhurats, you know, and on the Muhurat day, the producers used to, you know, invite other people from the industry, and it would be like, because now you have social media where films are announced. Before that, there was nothing like that. So to announce a film that started, the Muhurat days were really, really important, because that's the day when the industry knew that a film is starting. And I do remember, I was wearing this wedding outfit, this pink wedding outfit with full dupatta, and I was, I think I was 16. It was supposed to be this long dialogue which I had really, really mugged up, you know, and I took my skills of being a good history student and my mugging up skills, and I actually mugged up the dialogue which was about a page, and it was my Muhurat, and I was really nervous, and I was like, oh my God, and I never ever wanted to be an actor. It was just something that I was doing out of being a good daughter, because my mom said, you know, you have to just, you know, give it a try and do this. And I was like, you know, I'm doing this, I have to do this to the best of my capability. You know, that was me as a student, you know, that I have to do this well. And there were a lot of people in the audience, you know, seniors, and so many people from family, friends, and everybody was watching. And it was the first time that I was getting exposed to an audience that I didn't know of completely. And I was supposed to say these lines, and I've never done like stage plays in school. So I don't, I used to do classical dancing, so I'm used to a stage performance, but not like delivering lines. And I also had a little stammering problem. So I was like, oh my God, I hope I don't start stammering. You know, so I had all these fears in my heart, and I was wondering what's going to happen. And I realized that the minute the director said, lights, camera, action, and after action, the way I started delivering my lines, it just came very naturally to me. And it got over, and everybody started clapping, and I was like, really? Did I just say my lines? And I was actually in shock, you know, that I actually did it. And then something in my heart, like my instinct or like my inner voice, told me that you can do this. You know, it's not such a big deal that you made. I think, you know, if you do something with your heart, and if you actually believe in what you're doing, I think, and if you remove that fear, you know, the stage fright, I think it comes naturally. So on that day, I think I in a way decided that, yeah, maybe I'm made to do this. Like I'm born to do this.
Lovely. Now, I'm going to ask you about one internal performance of yours and one external performance. The external one is, of course, Dil Bole Hadipa, because that's such a, you have to do a lot of things externally. I want you to kind of just take us through how that happened. And internally, I would love to know how you approached the role in one of your most beautiful films, Paheli, because you're acting, what you're doing, having as a psychological dilemma of whether this man is your husband or not. Because he looks the same, but he does not, and you're not verbalizing it, because Amol Palekar's films are always very, they're not, you know, they don't put out everything, they don't spoon feed. So I would like to know how you approach that performance and this performance.
I think firstly, to feel love for somebody like Shah Rukh comes very easily to me. You know, when he's on set, you know, there is a certain comfort that I feel, because I started my career with him. So there's a lot of love that, of course, I have for him and he has for me. So it's always very comfortable on set. Also, I think the character of Lachi was very beautiful, you know. It was a folklore. And just the fact that it was, again, a character which defied what people in that background era feel, you know. Again, it was about doing what she wanted to do. It was her will, her want, her choice. And I think she brought a lot of strength, inner strength, through her character, because it's not easy for women to get a choice to choose, you know, because they are married off into a family and they're expected to start a life and to make everybody happy in their sasural, to so to speak. So I think Lachi brought a lot of depth, a lot of strength, and a lot of love, you know. The fact that she recognizes the love over the fact that he could be anybody. He was a ghost in the film, but he could have been anybody. But the fact that she allowed herself to go ahead with that love story, I think that makes Lachi very, very special in the place that she comes from, you know. And for me, as I told you, I'm always inspired by strong women characters. So for me, that maybe comes very naturally to me, you know. Whenever I am supposed to show a woman of strength, that comes very naturally to me. And I am very, very, like I get attracted towards those kind of character and roles. And of course, Dil Bole Haripa, I had to put on a beard. With all the men in the audience, I have to say, you guys are really brave to have facial hair. And to really groom it every day and to look after it, I think it really takes a lot of guts. And I experienced that in Dil Bole Haripa because I played a boy, a Sardar boy. And I have to say that every morning I had to, you know, put glue and I had to stick a beard. And it was one of the most horrifying things for a woman to do. And no, but I really enjoyed playing Veer Pratap Singh. It was amazing because that I do believe is one of my most underrated performances, and I really had a fun time playing the Sardar boy because there's so much of humor that Veer brought in, you know. And yes, apart from the physical aspect of wearing that beard and being in 35 degrees heat in Bombay and playing cricket, apart from that, everything else was wonderful.
Is there any film that you regret turning down?
I've actually never regretted anything because I do believe that every film belongs to the actor that it goes to eventually.
So, and you know, it's giving me so much perspective on just what I do also, because sometimes when you're constantly working, you don't have that perspective. You know, you need that little distance. And yeah, I know that I'm dying to do a comedy, honestly, because I love doing comedy, and you know, people don't seem to like comedy.
We all remember Hum Panch, right? We do.
And there aren't, you know, everyone who comes to me brings me invariably an intense or, you know, a thriller story, but I'm like, you know, bring me something that I can laugh to and that I can make people, that will make people laugh. So I'm hoping, I'm waiting for that comedy, but yeah, I think exciting times ahead, honestly. I don't want to speak too early, but...
What am I going to ask next? You're not going to kill me for it because I received some very special requests for you this morning while I was boarding the flight from Delhi. You sing beautifully and very few people know about it. So give it up, friends, for one round of applause for having Vidya sing to us today.
I think
she does. She's trained. She's trained in
I'll tell you the story.
Dance.
I trained in classical music, but if I didn't give up, my guru would have. So,
Vidya, there are so many gurus in the audience waiting, you know, to own or disown you. Let them decide. No, this is a very special request.
I lip sync beautifully. You can play a song and I'll lip sync to it. Oh my God, I don't even know.
Let's sing a song together.
I really am not a good singer, but I'll sing. What the heck? What should I sing? Huh? Hey, no, Ami ji, tumhara and all very complicated. Piyu bole is easy. क्या कह रहे हो? अब बजा दो, मैं गाती हूँ साथ साथ. पियू बोले, पिया बोले, क्या ये बोले जानू ना, जिया डोले, हौले हौले, क्यों ये डोले जानू ना.
Beautiful. Thank you, Vidya.
You're very kind. Thank you. देखो उन्होंने भी ताली नहीं बजाई.
अच्छा, कैसे नहीं बजाई? ये देखो, ये होता है भूखा actor.
No, thank you.
This wasn't playing to the gallery though. Vidya, before I open to the house, I've always wanted to ask you something. Very recently, I saw an Insta reel in which you said something very important, and it goes a long way as far as we women is concerned. You said, जब हम किसी से मिलते हैं तो हम सबसे पहले पूछते हैं, अरे कितना weight lose कर लिया तुमने? Do we even realize how hurtful we can be to people and the sensitivities which, are attached to? And these are real portrayals. I'm not talking about on-screen cinematic portrayals. We go through this each day. What would you say to all the women who are sitting in this audience today when it comes to, how they are seen, how they are judged, and what kind of portrayals, go along with them?
Forget about how they are judged. How do they judge themselves is what is important.
Fantastic.
I think when you look into the mirror, how do you feel? And if you don't feel good, that's okay. We are all human. We have good and bad days. But fake it till you make it. Tell yourself that I love and accept myself a little more every day, and it really works. Because, we women have bodies. Our bodies have formed such a large part of our identities, right?
Absolutely.
So it is anything to do with the body. If it can bring honor and shame to a family, if you please, it can definitely, destroy our confidence when someone comments about it. You almost feel like if you put on weight, you feel like you're undesirable, you're unworthy. If you've shed weight, then you suddenly feel like maybe you deserve a little more in life, and it's ridiculous because your body is what is keeping you alive, and it must be honored at all costs. I learned this very important lesson a few years ago because I've had my struggles. You all have all known it. It's been you'll have seen me through the years. But I realized that I was only sending hate towards my body. I was constantly saying, you're not what I want you to be. And therefore, I was constantly falling sick. Thankfully, there were little niggles, there were small issues, but constantly falling sick, Vani. And I started working with a healer 12 years ago, and I realized that, what are you doing? The very thing that's keeping you alive, you are abusing the very thing that's keeping you alive. Just thali mein khate ho, usi mein chhed
karte ho.
Exactly. So I started saying, okay, I'm thankful to my body for keeping me alive. I'm thankful to my breath, blah, blah, blah. And slowly, I started believing in it. Initially, I didn't. I started believing in it, and it's been a game changer. Because today, however I wake up, I feel good about myself. And when I don't feel good about myself, I tell them that it's okay. I tell them, no, I tell myself that it's okay. Tomorrow is a new day. Let me live with what I'm feeling today. Sometimes your body also expresses your emotions. Sometimes you're tired, sometimes you're angry, sometimes you're jealous, sometimes you're hateful, sometimes you're whatever, hurt. Sometimes you're fearful. All of this expresses itself in various ways. But that doesn't make you a bigger... I had begun to feel small in my bigness. And that is ridiculous. It was almost like I was cowering. But the one thing I have to say, Vani, and I thank God for this, when I face the camera, none of that matters. My size has never mattered to me when I face the camera. I love the camera so much, I trust the camera so much, that I believe that it will always bring out the best in me.
Fantastic, and what a message to give on a very important day, We constantly say that we celebrate women, but we have to first celebrate ourselves, so that the world will be there, to look at us for what we are. Thank you so much, Vidya, for that message, and that is something which will go a long way, in so many, the portrayals that you see, the way women look at themselves. I think that is so important, and thank you for that message. So before I open the house to questions, 2 house rules: do not give opinions, please.